Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome to the show. It is Tuesday, July 21st, and we are the Fantasy Footballers.
You speak the truth.
I do, and it is a new week.
Who else would we be?
This is Andy Holloway. I am joined, as always, by Mike, the Fantasy Hitman Wright.
Hello.
And Jason Moore.
Hello out there, people.
We are back again. We've got a great show for you today. We are doing a live mock draft.
People like them. We got to keep bringing them.
Yes, we're mixing it up a little bit today. We are doing a live mock draft. We're doing a 10-man league today. The two previous live mock drafts, we did 12-man leagues. We're also not going to be drafting against the consensus. We're going to be drafting against the ESPN ADP today. And we're also going to be drafting from the 10th spot. So
the turn.
You are in for a ride.
And our roster setup is 2-2 and a flex, correct?
That is correct.
So 2 running back, 2 wide receiver flex.
Yes,
position.
so that is going to be fun. We're doing that today. We're going to talk through, I don't know, did you hear the episode last Thursday, Mr. Pat Mayo?
I heard it. I was there.
I know. That was pretty good stuff. I want to remind, if you didn't hear last Thursday's episode, it was Mike had a really great sit down with Pat Mayo of the Fantasy Sports Network. They talked about everything and anything, and I'm bringing it up mostly because of how much Pat Mayo likes Joique Bell and Jeremy Maclin.
Oh, goodness.
Because
I was surprised I hadn't heard this earlier.
A man after my own heart. It was just so great to hear because, I come in here and you guys are over there saying dumb stuff, and then
It just goes to show you
it just weighs me down.
no analyst, ourselves included, can get everything right. That's so.
I used to like Pat.
Oh, that's brutal. No, good interview. Make sure you check out that episode. We're fresh off of a mailbag episode on Saturday where we were able to answer a lot of listener questions. I got a quick question for you guys today. What player are you targeting in the late rounds, so let's say round 7 or later, that you cannot wait to get on your roster?
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
I like the question.
I'm going to pull up the ADP.
Yeah.
Let's see, 7th round or later that I can't wait to have on my roster.
It's a stumper. You guys don't have a late round guy jumping out at you?
Well, there's a guy in the 7th round.
Okay.
His first name, his last name start with the same letter.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Choo-choo!
Amir Abdullah.
Really? Is he that late?
See, he's the
That surprises
6th pick
me.
in the 7th round right
Is he
now.
I
on the
thought-
he's moving up though.
I thought for sure.
Oh,
that-
I'm in 10 team.
Oh, there you go.
Let me move to 12
I was going to
team.
say, we've talked him up enough where I think that he's gone up
He's in the
ADPs.
6th and 12 teams.
Dang
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you can't choose the same guy for every answer on every show.
I'm going to go with Ryan Matthews. I really want him on my team. I think that we don't know how the carry split is going to break down between DeMarco Murray and Ryan Matthews.
That's an interesting pick. You're excited to have Ryan Matthews on your roster.
I am. I think
I
the
am
value
too.
is
I was actually
great.
looking at that.
And I think that, again, he's one of those. I mean, if we're talking late, I kind of went, I didn't care about 7th or later. I just went late.
You want
going
to
earlier, maybe Zach Ertz, like him too.
That's going beyond that 7th round, but a guy you can't wait to get on your team?
Yeah.
Okay.
And for me, a guy who I've talked up a good bit, not nearly as much as Abdullah, but David Johnson. He's going in the 10th right now.
It's interesting that both of you, I mean, just hearing both names, those are both backups.
I don't think
on paper.
On paper. And that's why it's so exciting that he's in the 10th.
There you go.
I strongly believe that it might be a 50-50, but he's the goal line guy to me. I think he'll have that role.
That's really interesting to hear. I'm curious to see what the preseason looks like with that.
Yeah, well,
it's very possible. I mean, Ellington isn't special around the goal line. I mean,
you're talking about a guy who both have excellent pass catching ability, but one guy is much larger than the other guy, and he can also catch. So why would you not go with him?
It's funny. My guy comes from the same roster, and it's Larry Fitzgerald.
Oh, all right.
And it's because he's going in the 9th round.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of, I think, outside of Arizona perspective on Fitzgerald that last year was just a career arc downward, but they don't recognize how bad the quarterback situation was in Arizona and how good Fitzgerald was with his targets.
With Carson Palmer.
Carson Palmer. And just his targets in general. He's still one of the most efficient wide receivers in football. Catches almost anything thrown his direction as long as it's within a radius that isn't like a fourth-string quarterback can put it in. The Cardinals were 11-5 last year with basically no running game and no quarterback play. So I'm excited about Fitz and the ability to bounce back as a possession. Very Andre Johnson-like season.
Very similar, where Andre Johnson was aging but still got a lot of targets. Last year he didn't produce as much, but I completely agree with you that people are overlooking Larry Fitzgerald.
I just can't believe he's that far down. I remember the days when he was that early first, second-round pick.
And that's the thing. I think people have got burned on the early pick. We're not saying he's going to be an elite wide receiver 1, but people
That's super hard to do, to draft the guy a second year after he's burned you with an early pick.
Exactly. So he keeps going further down.
Yeah, Devontae Adams being drafted ahead of him.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, that tells you how far he has fallen. If you want to get a hold of the show, you can do so on Twitter at the FF Ballers. You can follow Mike at FF Hitman. You can follow Jason at JasonFFL. And if you want to follow me, you can do so at Andy Holloway. We've got a YouTube channel. Make sure you check it out. Subscribe to the show. We not only put these shows live on YouTube. Live is the wrong word. We put them up after we record them. We put them up after we record them. And then we also do a number of questions. Listener questions, we answer those in kind of short form. We grab a question or two. We answer them real quick on YouTube so you can get some perspective for your fantasy season. If you have a question of your own that you want to submit for us to answer on the show, you can go to the site, thefantasyfootballers.com, click the Submit a Question button in the upper right-hand corner. It is easy as
peasy.
Easy as peasy. Very nice. Yes. Well done, Mike.
Yes. Thank you. So let's go ahead and read a review.
Review-asaurus Rex.
This one comes in from Yackle79.
There's a pirate.
Yarr. Yackle, he or she says, this podcast is hosted by 3 guys that form a menage a monster of a team.
Oh.
Quality fantasy analysis mixed with witty banter that leaves me feverishly waiting for more. I'm a longtime listener of other fantasy podcasts, but truly the mediocrity that exists in other pods is put to shame by the excellent sound quality and great advice. This podcast has quickly become my favorite, and I am proud to be a member of the Foot Clan.
Yeah, welcome aboard.
Hashtag even Saturday shows rock. Hashtag texting aloud. Just pay attention. I think that's when I was texting on the show and you got decapitated.
Yeah, one quick point. We use that French phrase a lot. I think we're actually switching out the wrong word. Because wouldn't trois be isn't that 3?
Yeah.
So, look, we don't speak that language, okay?
Hey. Bonjour.
We have got a good show. We don't have a lot of news and notes to talk about today, so we're going to get right into it. The main event, let's do it.
The Fantasy Footballers Mock Draft.
You seemed like you didn't want to move on.
I wanted to. Oh no! I wanted to mock draft. I wanted to do my soapbox earlier today.
What is that about?
Go to @TheLeague FXX and let them know that we want to see the fantasy footballers on the final season of the league. They're in the final season of the show. Great show, hilarious. I love it personally, and it would be just a personal highlight of my life if we could get us on the show in some fashion. And this is the last chance. So Foot Clan, I'm rallying.
At a minimum, your sausage dip should end up on the show.
The sausage dip, just a snippet of the man bun.
Lay it on the counter.
My back? Your back? Well, it doesn't matter.
You just want a cameo distant on the show.
I could be an extra just walking by, and I would be very happy.
All right, we're getting into the draft now. We are using FantasyDraftWizard.com to run through a live mock draft. It's what we've done with both of our earlier mock drafts as well. It is great because we can choose a number of different ways and lists that we can go up against. So today, to summarize for you, we are in a 10-team league. We are drafting from the 10th spot, and we're going up against the ESPN ADP, which I think should be helpful for people. There are a lot of people that play in ESPN leagues, and even if you don't, you're probably looking at some of those rankings to build your lists. And so We are going
This
up
is-
against that.
Standard or PPR?
This is a standard league.
All right.
Okay. So we have kicked off the draft, and first off the board is Eddie Lacy.
Ah, man, I was really hoping he would drop.
Drop to 10. All right. So,
So close.
the first pick in the draft was Eddie Lacy, followed by Adrian Peterson, Jamal Charles, and Lev Bell. Marshawn Lynch, Arian Foster goes number 6, which I like to see, I guess. As someone who thinks he's the best back in football this year, fantasy-wise, I'm seeing him move up a little bit. One wide receiver off the board, Antonio Brown goes with the 7th pick, and then DeMarco Murray and C.J. Anderson. And here we are on the clock, 10th pick of the first round, and we get back-to-back picks, gentlemen, because this is a snake draft.
I would have really liked C.J. Anderson here. Let's take C.J. Anderson.
That's
Yeah.
going to be difficult.
No?
Because he is off the board,
off the
and
board.
the running back we're staring down, the crop we're staring down is Matt Forte, LaShawn McCoy, Jeremy Hill, Justin Forsett. That is probably where the tier line for us drops. We also have all of the wide receivers on the board other than
Yes.
Antonio Brown. And so what is the thought process here? Because Rob Gronkowski's there as well. We got 2 picks. We only get 2 positions. Maybe we get 1 position, but I assume we're taking a running back.
I think we have to take – we've got 2 picks here. I think we have to take a running back. If we don't take a running back at this spot, being at the turn, the next guy going to get for our starting RB is going to be
29,
Jonathan
30,
Stewart
yeah.
or something like that, which he could be great. I like having him on my team, but you got to have one of those sure guys.
And that short guy for me is Jeremy Hill, especially standard. I think Hill is a near lock for double-digit touchdowns this
Now,
year.
let's talk about Forte real quick, because I think on most people's board, that would be the guy who's the clear winner here. Forte's still on the clock. He goes higher. For me,
I don't have a problem with Forte here.
yeah, I would be willing to take Forte. I like other guys a little bit more than him here, but this is about where he should be going. And the fact that it's a standard league, I think his big drop-off in production is going to come in a PPR league with Trestman leaving. But all that said, I think for me, the guy that I would like here is actually LaShawn McCoy. I think in a standard league, the volume is going to be there. It's going to be guaranteed. So I like Hill, but my vote would be for LaShawn McCoy. So Andy?
I'm gonna have to go with McCoy. He's the pick here. I agree. I think Forte and Hill, when you look at those 2 guys, it's like both of them have very high odds of being consistent, and the upside trend leans on the Hill side, and the downside trend leans on the Forte side. As far as McCoy goes, he's just going to be given the ball all year long. I do have concerns with McCoy. I think we all understand why. He had a very down year with a very decent offensive line, and now he's going to a bad offensive line. But I think McCoy is the pick, and you on board, Mike?
No.
Okay, I figured that was the case. So LaShawn McCoy is off the board. Now we're staring down the choice here. Do we go a second running back? Do we go Rob Gronkowski? This is a little bit later for Gronk. I think Gronk's ADP is around 7 or 8.
Yeah, we're in a 10 team though, so
Yep.
him being available here is not extremely surprising.
No, and then you've got the wide receiver crop. You've got Julio Jones, Des Bryant, Demaryius
You got your
Thomas,
pick. There hasn't been
Odell Beckham, Calvin Johnson. The only guy off the board is Antonio Brown.
Oh, that's right. Antonio Brown's off.
It's hard for me to, if it's my choice here, I'm not going with the tight end.
He's in consideration for me.
Okay. So tell me kind of what you're thinking about, Jason.
Well, it's definitely between the pick of the litter and wide receiver or Gronk. And I think here in a 10-team league, I kind of spoke about this last week. I don't like not getting a wide receiver here, but I also think in a 10-team where everybody has more elite talent, those guys that you do know for sure are a differentiator at the top, matter. The fact that this is a 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, and flex league versus the 3 wide receiver league, which is really common, says to me that that's going to be the tiebreaker for me to go
With Gronk? Okay.
What do you think,
That's
Mike?
pretty good logic there.
I can get on board Gronk because I would think about it right here and for the experiment of the live draft to see what our team ends up with.
I would like to see what wide receivers roll back to us at the next pick, as well as our RB2 situation. So let's go ahead and go with Rob Gronkowski. We on board with that?
Yep.
All
Let's do
right.
it.
So first 2 off the board for our squad are LaShawn McCoy and Rob Gronkowski. We're seeing the second and third rounds take place right before our eyes here on FantasyDraftWizard.com. Matt Forte went right after Gronkowski, and the first quarterback went off the board in the second round, the third pick, Aaron Rodgers, followed by Andrew Luck as the 7th pick of that round. We lost a bunch of those wide receivers. The rest of the second round was all wide receivers, so all of those names that we just talked about, Dez, Odell Beckham Jr., Calvin Johnson, Jordy Nelson, Julio Jones, A.J. Green. In the third round, Jeremy Hill fell all the way to the 2nd pick of the third round. We also saw some more wide receivers go off the board. Russell Wilson and Peyton Manning just went off the board before us with the 9th pick of the third round. So now we are sitting here at the end of the third, turn to the fourth. We got 2 picks on the board, and our choices here at running back are Justin Forsett. We've got Frank Gore on the board, Melvin Gordon, Alfred Morris, Lamar Miller, Jonathan Stewart. At the wide receiver position, we have Mike Evans, DeAndre Hopkins, Emmanuel Sanders, some other guys, Andre Johnson, Jordan Matthews, Keenan Allen, Deshaun Jackson. And so are there other positions in consideration for you guys, or am I looking at the right two?
Yeah.
You're looking at the right two.
Without a doubt. There's no way we would take a quarterback here with Luck and Rodgers gone. Those middle-tier quarterbacks are a mistake to take, and we've got the tight end locked down. So we just pick the best running back and wide receiver we can. We have no wide receivers, so we have to at least take 1. Maybe 2, but there's still great.
I'm wondering if we're going to end up, much like our PPR mock draft, we're going to end up with DeAndre Hopkins in this draft because he's available again.
I find I'm taking him in a lot of drafts. There's those questions like, do you take the same guy? He is one of the guys that have been on so many teams that I've been mock drafting or even doing in the MFL 10s because I think I just like his value more than a lot of other people do.
So talk to me about Evans and Hopkins.
Yeah,
I was going to say I have it a little bit different. In standard, I actually have Evans slotted a couple points higher than Hopkins. The touchdowns where Hopkins is the deep threat guy on Houston and can certainly score a bunch of touchdowns, but to me that is Evans' forte. Yeah. He is a huge body. I think Vincent Jackson will siphon a couple more touchdowns, but I think overall the offense is going to be better this year with Jameis Winston. So to me, the picks right here are Mike Evans, and I have Justin Forsett still as a top 10 back in standard. Even
really?
Though, yes, wow. Most of his value comes from PPR because he's going to pile up the catches, but the catches are just more opportunities to get yards. I mean, 10 yards in the air is the exact same as 10 on the ground.
What about the goal line concerns, though? Because that would be
I'd
much rather have Frank Gore around the goal line in a standard league than I would Justin Forsett.
Yeah, that's the question for me. I completely agree with you on Evans. I think in a standard league.
So we want to take Evans? Do we want to lock that down?
Let's grab Evans.
Okay. All right, so Mike Evans is on the roster. Let's figure out the second pick then.
The question in the second pick is certainly Justin Forsett or Frank Gore. 2 guys that.
Or Alfred Morris in a standard league. I mean, a guy that scores touchdowns.
Yeah,
okay.
not to me.
Not to me.
I just have too many concerns.
And the pick to me is Justin Forsett. The difference between Forsett and Frank Gore is not monumental enough for me to throw my Latavius Murray fits,
sure,
as you will.
I know. I feel bad because last mock draft you were beaten up afterwards.
Hey, I got up. I'm still standing.
Yep,
I'm still strong. So I would go with Forsett, but it won't make me weep if we get Frank Gore.
For perspective for our listeners, the ADP that we're drafting against has Forsett as the next guy on the board. So the predominant opinion would be Forsett here. For me, I'm going to go with Gore. That's my vote. So we'll leave the decision making up to Jason Moore in his golf shirt.
I tell you what, though.
See
these 2-on-1s are going to wear me down.
I really do feel bad because I know my pick, and I don't want to take my pick
because of I wanted to take Jeremy Hill for him before too.
Yeah, no. But take the guy that you want because this is what we're doing.
Yeah, I got to do it. I do agree with the exact logic that the touchdowns are going to matter more in the standard league, and I think Frank Gore finds the end zone a lot. Think about how much Ahmad Bradshaw found the end zone on those little dump-offs near the goal line. They use their running back at the goal line all the time, not necessarily on the ground, but I expect Frank Gore to be up near double-digit touchdowns.
I was going to say he should be in, to me, it's 12 to 15 total touchdowns on the year.
That's a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah, well, there's just not somebody else I think that are going to put in the game around the goal line, and he can catch the ball. So
I'll just point out that Forsett had 8 on the ground last year, and now we're getting Trestman in, so he's going – I think 8 is a floor for me on the ground.
That's pretty impressive.
And you're going to add a couple more in the air.
And keep in mind how Trestman has always used his guy. He used Forte, and Forte wasn't a goal line back, but he made Forte a goal line back. He got – Bush was out of there, and they used him on the goal line. So – It's too late.
Mike talked to Pat Mayo a lot about Justin Forsett.
Yeah, we are linked at the hip on Forsett.
Yeah, and the problem with Forsett is there's a lot of perception issues, and I'm not going to be the first to tell you. I mean, they impact me too. He's older. He's been around the block. He's undersized.
Are you talking about Forsett or Frank Gore right now?
Well, okay. Yeah, that's very fair. That's very fair, but I think I don't see Gore as being, you just said top 10, okay, for Forsett. So I think that's where my pause comes in. I just don't know. I just don't know about Forsett. I don't know what they're going to do there, but for now, our roster is LaShawn McCoy, Frank Gore, Mike Evans, and Rob Gronkowski.
At least I got Evans on the team.
That's true. Good job. All right, so I got to fly through the the fourth and fifth rounds for you. Do you guys see any highlights here? Forsett ended up going 3 picks later after Alfred Morris, which I actually understand in a standard league myself. The rest of the round has what seems to be a teardrop a little bit. Lamar Miller, Carlos Hyde. Hopkins went at the end of the 4th round. You saw another quarterback in Breeze go off the board.
The interesting guys to me are Andre Ellington in the 5th of a standard and Julian Edelman in the 5th of a standard.
As in too high for Edelman.
Way too high for me.
I don't think that's too high.
It's not way too high.
Yeah, that's not too high for me.
It's too high for – it is too high, but not way too high. I went to exaggeration on there.
Yeah, I like – if I had Edelman as my wide receiver 2 in a standard league, I'd be fine with it.
Really?
I would.
Even in the 5th – I know you picked him in an email the other day.
I did. Yeah, I just think volume and trust and –
Even with Brady getting 4, if it stays at 4.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I just don't see – there's just not enough – there's a mixed bag of talent around him. Even LaFell, I mean, 1 year with Brady does not a consistent career make. I mean, Edelman has earned the trust of that offense. I just think the volume's there. And he does score. He does get into the end zone. He's not
very much.
He's not made to score like Evans, but he gets in the end zone. I just would be happy in the back half of the 5th round with Edelman. Another point worth mentioning is Todd Gurley goes in the 5th round in this draft. Joique Bell and Latavius Murray went right ahead of him. I should also say Drew Brees went with the last pick of the 4th round. Too high or too low?
Way too high. It's a disgusting pick. I'm happy it wasn't ours.
How about Jordan Matthews going with the 9th pick of the 5th round?
Kind of sad because I know the Hitman and myself are super high on
staring
Matthews.
him down. So now we're kind of in a pickle here. We are at the last pick of the 5th round turning into the 6th round. We got 2 picks to choose from. Wide receiver still on the board. Frank Gore's teammate, Andre Johnson. We've got Keenan Allen, Deshaun Jackson, Brandon Marshall, Amari Cooper, Vincent Jackson, Martavis Bryant, Jeremy Maclin. In terms of running backs still on the board, C.J. Spiller probably is at the top of that list, along with LeGarrette Blount, Joseph Randle. So we're sitting here into the 6th round. Joseph Randle's still available. Gio Bernard, Rashad Jennings, Tevin Coleman, and then you get into some of the rookies, Chris Ivory.
Did you say LeGarrette Blount?
That's exactly where I was going. The one guy who I'm taking for sure on these swing picks, if it's me in control, is LeGarrette Blount. In standard.
I love LeGarrette Blount in standard. I think he's going to eat up touchdowns this year. I would pick him in a heartbeat.
So to give you some perspective, his ADP right now is 74. And so if we took him here, we would be taking him about a round early from standard ADP, which I don't mind. I'm just pointing it out for how you wait, right?
One of the strategies people need to realize is that when you're on a turn, you need to be willing to reach. You need to find the guys you want. And if you are if you're drafting at 1 or 2 or 9 or 10 in a 10 team or 11 and 12 in a 12 team, you have to realize that's 20 players that are going to go, or 24, 23 players are going to go before your next pick. Take the guys you like, because normally I look at guys and I watch that ADP and I go, this guy can make it back to me. But I never assume they're going to make it back to me on this. That's a lesson learned, because I have done that a lot at the turn and said, I think this guy can make it back, and they never make it back. So
it's a really good point, and Blount is a perfect example here because his ADP is 74. We're picking at 60, 61, and we won't pick again until 80, 81.
Right.
And so he's right in the middle of that. So we have to you either do 2 things, right? You take him early, or you take a chance, and maybe he drops around.
Big chance.
Yeah.
I actually think he'd come back around.
Oh,
that's probably not going to happen. No, that's probably not going to happen. So you guys want LeGarrette Blount? We're going to draft LeGarrette Blount then. So he is on our roster.
Beautiful.
He joins LaShawn McCoy and Frank Gore, and so LeGarrette Blount fills up that RB3.
I
And
feel like
that's perfectly fine. He's suspended for 1 game, but as our third running back, we can completely absorb that.
But now we need a wide receiver.
there's a lot of good options, but
So
there
let's
are
talk
2
a little-
great options here.
Let's talk. Is Andre Johnson one of them?
Andre Johnson is absolutely one
Any
of them.
concerns with him and Gore on the same
I'm glad
roster?
you asked the question because I feel like users ask that question a lot.
I do. I get that question a ton.
And no concern. Zero concern on that. There are definite concerns to having the players on the same team, especially in both the run game and the pass game. I don't enjoy that as much as, sticking with the passing game like quarterback, wide receiver. However, when you are on one of the elite offenses, which nobody can say anything other than that about the Colts, you don't worry about it. You can draft them on the Packers, you can draft them on the Colts, you can draft them on the Broncos, and you're going to be fine. However, there's also Marty McBride.
That's my
Bryant.
guy.
Both of these guys I love, and this is the quintessential question of, would Martavis Bryant make it back to us?
I think he will, and I think he is not the wide receiver 2 we would draft here. I would much rather have. He is. Maybe he is. Maybe
exactly.
He is.
He is the wide receiver 2 that I would draft here.
I have
not
him and
gamble
Andre
him.
Johnson back to back in a standard league, and
in a standard league, standard favors Bryant over Johnson, but I like Johnson. Really,
Consistency.
the consistency of Johnson.
and there's a
in that
chance
position
Johnson
is-
won't come back around. Bryant will come back around.
I will say this: if
Maybe,
one
he
player
could.
could possibly come back, it would definitely be Martavis Bryant.
Do we want to take a chance?
We can see and test that theory.
And do you like Andre Johnson more than Brandon Marshall? Because he's the other name that jumps out.
This
to me.
this is what I feel like. I feel like you guys are putting me on the hoverboard over the water right now for
With
Marty
Marty
McBride.
McBride.
I have no power. I am
I'm
isolated
asking you.
in the
I'm
lake.
pointing at you.
yeah,
I'm saying, do you want to? His ADP is
pretend
is
that you can
91.
paddle on that water. Give us. Give
Oh,
us a paddle.
I've seen what
Do you
happens
want to
when
give
Marty
him, give him
McFly
this
tries.
pick? Let's give him this pick.
All right, Mike's got the pick.
Oh,
Is it Andre Johnson? Is it Brandon Marshall? Is it Martavis Bryant?
You like Bryant better? You think he'll make it back?
I
or not?
do. But they are
Oh.
here. They are very close in my rankings. Very close. Andre Johnson and Marty McBride. So I will gamble this time.
To see what happens.
Hey, this is a mock draft.
Is
This
this
what you do in
Andre?
mock.
So we'll go with Andre
Now,
Johnson.
one real quick thing. A guy that I really like who reminds me of Andre Johnson, who could also come back around, would be Vincent Jackson. So if you
He's-
go Martavis Bryant, then you can get Vincent
Now,
Jackson.
why
to
aren't
come
you
back
guys
around.
drafting Jeremy Maclin here?
Is that a joke?
Because Jeremy
It's
Macklin,
not a joke.
Jeremy Macklin will not be on any of my teams.
Yeah,
That's
I
why.
know that's true. All right, Andre Johnson off the board. Let's hold our breath because we are walking through the
Where's
6th
Martavis
round and the 7th round, and Martavis Bryant,
is
he gone?
let's see.
He is still on the board, fellas.
Yes.
He who dares wins, my friends.
But so is Brandon Marshall.
It doesn't
yeah,
matter.
that's not
So Martavis Bryant, we're locking him down.
very
Yes.
nice.
All right,
Very
before I
nice.
make that pick, let me tell the listeners a little bit about the 6th and 7th round. We also saw Big Ben went off the board in the 6th round, as did Cam Newton. And Matt Ryan and Tony Romo went in the 7th, which is just a surprising inverse of all of our rankings here. We all would have taken Matt Ryan over Big Ben without a question. After our pick of Andre Johnson, any other ones stand out? Travis Kelce ends up going in the 6th round. Does that give you any second guessing of our Gronkowski pick?
Very much.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too, because I think I'd much rather end up with.
But we took Gronk to see what would happen.
Yeah. So-
That being said, this is 6th round in a 10 team, so that's that's still good value,
Yep.
and it's better than
No, you make a
necessarily
good
getting Gronk.
point.
But I actually like, given the wide receivers that just got fallen to us, Martavis Bryant as our 3rd. I actually would
You're okay with
prefer
it.
Gronk.
Yeah. Tevin Coleman went off the board before Travis Kelce. Greg Olsen went off the board before Travis Kelce.
I have a scenario.
which I can see.
Yeah, that's
scenario
pretty
I
common.
want you guys to play out because we haven't really talked trade bait very much. I was talking with a Foot Clan member and wanting me to look at the draft, and this was a real draft. They got Gronk in the 2nd, so not a bad value on Gronk. I believe it was a 12 team, might be 10.
He had his actual draft.
Yeah, actual
Okay.
draft already happened. All the way to the 8th round, Kelce was available, so he drafted him.
Right.
If you have Gronk on your team in the 2nd and Kelsey's available in the 8th round,
I take Kelce.
would you take him?
I would do
Yeah,
it.
I would.
do it.
I would
It's
much
hard
rather
to do. I
take
saw that here and I was like, oh.
it. I think it makes a difference to me whether or not you can actually play him. If your flex allows for running back, wide receiver, tight end, oh, yeah, because he's going to put up better points than a lot of wide receivers or running backs you could play in that flex, and then you're able to utilize
That's
him.
crazy value. 8th round in a 12 team.
Yeah, I said when my first comment was, wow, you drafted both of those guys? I hope you didn't overpay. And then it was, oh, yeah, everyone kept balking on him and went to the 8th round. I said, I would have done it too.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's interesting, too, because Kelsey goes off the board here in the middle of the 6th. Zach Ertz goes in the middle of the 7th. We roll back around to our pick. Martavis Bryant's on the board. I've already clicked the draft button on fantasydraftwizard.com, and he is on our roster. To give you an idea of who we have right now, we have LaShawn McCoy, Frank Gore, and LeGarrette Blount at the running backs. Mike Evans, Andre Johnson, and Martavis Bryant at the wide receiver position, and Rob Gronkowski. I feel really good about this team.
Yeah,
I
I'm
do
liking
too.
it.
I'm staring it down going,
It's really hard to feel bad about your team on 10-team leagues, though. Because it always sounds
the truth.
It does. It does. It changes you. But a lot of people playing them. That's why
That's
we
true.
wanted to roll out a 10-team mock today, because not everybody's rolling a 12-team.
Yep.
And
Who
so
are the best available running backs right now?
the best available? CJ Spiller is still on the board.
Standard league makes sense.
That's interesting.
In a standard league, he is still
Is
on the
Joseph
board.
Randall
Joseph Randall's still on the board, which just
That's
seems
also
unbeatable.
interesting.
and Isaiah Crowell in a standard who is very nice
I would
as well.
wait on Crowell, but
I agree.
So
Right
if you wanted to draft a quarterback, which we don't, the best available is Ryan Tannehill, Eli Manning, Matt Stafford. Is there any thought to grabbing Tannehill here in the end of the 7th, though?
Not
in a
in-
10-team league?
not a 10-team
Yeah,
league.
yeah,
We
I'm
have
with you.
a 5 bench. We're 5 deep on the bench. So like I said, in 12, I feel very confident. Streaming 10, even more so.
Yeah,
my
you've
vote
got
is Joseph Randall all the way to the bank.
Yeah.
We are in the perfect position with these guys to, I think, take Randall and see what happens.
Well, yeah, if you want to compare C.J. Spiller to Joseph Randall, C.J. Spiller,
It's the standard league.
yeah, in a standard league, you would go, okay, what do I need now on my team? Now that I've locked in my positions, and we've got 3 running backs who are all solid, but not necessarily, going to have any chance of finishing the league number 1. I mean, you got LaShawn McCoy, Frank Gore, and LeGarrette Blount. I like all 3 of those guys as solid producers. Joseph Randall is a real boom potential guy if he ends up getting the workload. So I like going with that over someone like a C.J. Spiller. I have no problem with that pick.
Yeah, to me, it's the best available argument right here. But I'm curious what your thought is, Mike.
I would lean Joseph Randall because I think he, of anybody in Dallas, will be the goal line guy. But it does, and my rankings show that greatly.
One more name I want to point out is Brandon Marshall is still on the board.
Okay, I'll get
in the 8th
to
round.
I'll get to Brandon Marshall, but so Joseph Randall, I think he'd be the goal line guy. Where I'm really liking Dunbar more as the passing guy. C.J. Spiller is interesting because we talk about his PPR skills, but remember that team with Darren Sproles.
Mm-hmm.
We remember Darren Sproles. Oh, he was great in PPR. He was, but he was still great in standard because that guy was scoring touchdowns by the boatload.
Yeah.
So we're talking about an upside.
I'm really okay with either pick. I'm okay with Spiller or Randall because they both represent upside to me.
And I will take the risk on Randall right here of maybe he becomes a 3-down guy.
All right, Randall is off the board to us, so we have a lot of depth at the running back position. McCoy, Gore, Blunt, and Randall. And we're rolling back through the 8th and 9th round. Crowell does go off the board. Macklin finally leaves in the end of the 8th round. Vincent Jackson, a steal in my opinion.
That is. That's
sixth
nice.
pick. I would have mentioned him earlier. I didn't know if we wanted to pair him with Evans.
We had talked a little bit about
Okay.
Jackson, but I agree. I don't know if I want. I wouldn't be that at that value. That's
It's
perfectly
tough. If it's sitting here and we could draft him again, I'd be fine with it. But this is that same thing we're talking about. You just mentioned Gore and Andre Johnson. They're on a prolific offense.
Right.
Give me Lacey and Cobb. Give me Cobb and Nelson.
Yep.
But don't give me necessarily 2 guys that depend upon a rookie, a Wookiee.
Yeah.
A
Wookiee.
If you're depending on a Wookiee or a rookie, you're in trouble.
You're in big trouble. Wookiees are known for their bad accuracy.
Volatile.
And they're terrible
You
temper.
give me a Wookiee as a linebacker, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I've
IDP.
drafted one.
Talk about
I've
fumbles.
taken a couple Wookiees in IDP.
Hashtag Wookiee of the year.
Wookiee of the year. Very nice.
All right. Hey, we're sitting here in the.
Now, something to bring up real
Oh,
quick.
Doug Martin's gone.
Oh no!
He was drafted by an owner, Doug M. Doug
wow.
M.
Doug
took him.
himself.
Well,
that makes
yeah.
sense.
No,
All right.
I'm just kidding.
So we've had many rounds of bypassing quarterbacks, and we're looking here. We've got so much depth at running back and wide receiver, and a lot of times people would go, why would you take another running back or another wide receiver at this position? You've got them on lockdown.
Nope.
Yeah, no is the answer. We don't have them on lockdown.
I was hoping you were going to say
That's what
that.
everybody thinks every draft, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm loaded at running back. I've got 4.
It's a great
No.
point, and I was going to say I'm not taking a quarterback here.
No
And let me
way.
tell you why. I'm going to give you some names of why. Ryan Tannehill, Eli Manning, Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers, Colin Kaepernick, Sam Bradford,
What's the difference
Carson
between
Palmer,
almost any of those
Teddy
guys?
Bridgewater.
The difference between some of those guys is a point a game. And you don't know which one it is that's going to be the better point.
You want the better matchup at
Yeah,
this
so just
point.
take him at the end.
Yeah, take
Laugh your way to the bank in your 10-team draft.
Because if people don't buy into the streaming philosophy in your league, people will start mocking you. It's going to happen. Just have some thick skin.
taking a quarterback. Nice quarterback.
chew on your Oreos and just ignore them.
Yeah.
The
Don't
double
forget those
stuff.
Oreos.
Chomp
Those
on the
double stuffs in
Oreos.
your draft. I want
So-
pictures of drafts with Oreos there. I
you're
want
gonna- Mike's. Our next pick's already done.
them. Oh no. Clearly.
We're sitting at the 10th round. Well, the last pick of the 9th.
The 9-10 turn.
Do you hear that?
What is that? That's all aboard!
Can we finally get him on a team?
I think we can.
Yeah.
Devontae Freeman is up. No, I'm just kidding. Amir Abdullah is sitting on the board with massive upside. I'm going to click the draft button before Mike reaches over and steals it from me. I've got no problem with Amir Abdullah at that value. That's great. And let's stockpile some talent and guys that can break out. So at the wide receiver position, I see Larry Fitzgerald sitting there in the 10th round. I see Roddy White. Allen Robinson is there in the 10th round.
Now,
I
this
don't
is-
like Robinson in a standard.
No.
I don't
league.
like him as much, but I really think Allen Robinson breaks out this
So-
year.
He breaks out and he scores 4 touchdowns.
Let's look at the look at the
6.
makeup of our team.
I love it. That's
Very,
true,
very
and you're
nice.
probably right.
All right, so let's take a look at the makeup of our team and see, do we have boom guys or solid guys, and see whether or not what we're in need of is a guy that is, a starter that we absolutely need, reliability from, or whether it's like we've got the reliability down, who's the highest potential? Because that's kind of, when I get later in the draft, that's what I look in, and because those are the tiebreakers for me when I'm looking at a bunch of guys I like. Fitzgerald versus a high ceiling guy. Not that he's not.
So, do you want me to go through the roster? Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
So we're starting McCoy and Gore. We have LeGarrette Blount and Joseph Randall on the squad, as
So
well as Amir
McCoy,
Abdullah
Gore, Blunt, and Randall.
and Abdullah.
Yeah, whew.
And then we've got Evans, Andre Johnson, Rob Gronkowski. You're giving the high five that everybody in a 10-team league gives high fives.
Well, when you draft your running back too in the 10th round,
Oh,
man.
Amir. Oh, Amir. What did you say last episode? I better not be wrong.
I
bet-
said
he
he
better
better
not
not suck.
He better
Yeah.
not suck.
which he won't.
Oh, my goodness.
Foot Clan, just know everybody.
I don't
gets-
know what I want to happen. I don't know if I want it to
If
be
it-
great because you've given so many people in our audience advice to draft him, and then we're right, or I want you to be wrong so I can just mercilessly
So I go down in the
assault you.
flames?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I think
mean,
for the
I'll
sake
point
of
that
the
out
Foot
for
Clan,
years.
I really hope he's good because I think that there are a lot of listeners who are drafting Amir Abdullah. So I hope that
There you
you're
go.
right for that.
There you go. So what's the pick here? We got to move on in this draft. We got to take another guy here, and that's our roster. Gronkowski has locked down the tight end position. I like that. I'm not thinking about tight end right now. I'll be honest with you. So
We don't need another tight end.
right.
at all.
So to me, when I look at our wide receivers, so let's talk about that. Like Jason just brought up, Mike Evans, Andre Johnson, Martavis Bryant. We are short on wide receiver, and we are short on consistency to me.
Yeah.
Because we don't. Let me give you some perspective here. Mike Evans, rookie quarterback. Andre Johnson, changing teams. Martavis Bryant, second-year guy. That
Yep.
tells me we need to put somebody on the squad that we can roll out in case one of these guys falls through.
Looks
Are you
like your guy.
Someone with really, really sure hands.
Yeah, I mean, just performed Hall of Fame level.
Someone that
and
if
a-
we could turn the YouTube camera around would be a giant fat head
He
on the
is
wall.
stuck on the wall over
Nice
there.
hands, Larry.
So is
All
it
right.
Larry Fitzgerald?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the perfect compliment to this team.
And Larry and Andre can live out their glory days together on our roster.
We're the geriatrics.
Oh, well, not quite, but close.
All the
All
way
right.
to the championship.
We've
lot
got
of
one
quarterbacks
bench
went
spot.
there.
Yeah, right now we only have one bench spot left. Our quarterback spot is left, and then the defense and kicker. So I am okay rolling out that quarterback spot right now, especially with a guy like Eli Manning on the board. He's still on the board at the end of the 11th round.
Yep.
I'd rather roll him out. Kaepernick I have higher than him. I don't know if I could talk you guys into him, though.
No,
you could absolutely talk me into Kaepernick. I have
Oh,
Kaepernick
no.
higher.
No way.
All right, for
Not
Mike's
possible.
sake,
I have Kaepernick higher than Manning.
So
I would
do I.
rather have
So do I.
Kaepernick over Manning. I would rather still take a position here and get.
I've been getting
next,
so much grief for weeks about my Kaepernick love.
And it is fine. I understand it, but it's you're projecting. That's
Yep,
what we do.
yep.
We have to project, and we have to pick guys who are going to break out. But I like Eli Manning's. He's showing that he can do it. He's going to improve in that system, and
I'm fine taking Manning. We can.
All right, we'll go with Manning. We'll let Mike walk away from this draft with his head held
I got
high.
two guys.
You got two guys you like. All right, last bench spot. I'm going to toss this one over to you, Jason, give you some names.
Okay.
We've got Charles Johnson, Roddy White, Michael Floyd, Steve Smith, Senor.
Senor.
Yeah, you think courtesy of Mr. Pat Mayo at the PME. Charles Johnson, Anquan Bolden, Marcus Colson, Brashad Perryman, Pierre Garçon, John Brown. You're getting an idea of why in a 10-team league there is wide receiver depth throughout the entire draft.
Yep. All right, I got mine.
Okay.
I'm going to take Brashad Perryman
Two
because
combs.
there are so
Reggie Bush,
Uh-oh.
no.
Oh, I thought you froze him.
David
No.
Johnson.
David Johnson is a consideration.
I think Perryman's a good pick here we have a lot of depth at wide receiver already.
Yep. And the reason
I'm sorry, at running back.
And then we'll just blow our fab on David Johnson when he.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
After
All
the
right,
work.
so that wraps up this draft. Everything going now is kickers and defenses.
Try to grab the Jets defense. That would be my only.
Yeah, you've been
advice.
talking the Jets defense up. Why
I
don't
like
you
'em.
tell people why you like them in 30 seconds?
In 30
or less?
seconds, they got Revis Island. Then they got Antonio Cromartie. So their secondary is awesome. Their line was already one of the best on defense that there was, and then they drafted a guy that they don't need, who was the best D lineman in the draft. And then they got Todd Bowles as the head coach, who is a defensive coordinating guru. And they've got a good
Leonard
core
Williams
schedule.
at number 6 this
Yeah.
year,
So-
defensive tackle.
That's just.
To me, I
Come on.
love the Jets. But I will probably stream no matter what. So whoever I draft, I'm probably going to drop at some point. I'm not
Well-
going to play the Jets when they go up against the
No doubt.
Packers.
It's good to have kind of an idea though of some teams that are improving. Todd Bowles from Arizona, we loved him out here. I think he can change that defense, and Darrelle Revis certainly helps. So that is it for our third mock draft of the off season.
macaroni salad.
This is by far the favorite team that we've ended up with. We will post
That
this.
should have been the drop, man.
yeah,
Like macaroni and cheese.
That's not bad either.
I like it.
That's pretty good, but I'm
Sounds
hungry. I'm
delicious.
hungry. I don't want to get hungry every episode.
All we talk about is food.
Sorry, I don't want to get hungrier. Hungrier. By far my favorite team. We will post, people have asked us before, we'll post this team. We'll actually post the full draft results
Yeah.
on the episode page on the website. Okay. So I'll make sure I post that on there when we post, when this episode is live, which you can go to the website right now, thefantasyfootballers.com, click on that, see the full mock draft results in case you want to see some of the guys that went in between our picks that we didn't have time to mention. And I'm pretty happy, guys.
Yeah, and if you listen to this and you see the value in mock drafting, which I hope you do because it is very important, and you want to do that, we are using fantasydraftwizard.com. We've got a link on our website, thefantasyfootballers.com. It's free to do, and they've got a bunch of tools. You can actually, if you're in a keeper league or whatever, you can port in the guys that are kept. There's all sorts of things you can do to make it awesome, and use the tool because our focus here at the Fantasy Footballers is getting the Foot Clan to win championships. And I know that the more people that listen to this show that do mock drafts, that's going to be the best way to set you up for success.
I agree. So let's go ahead and take a few minutes here. We got a few minutes left on the show. Let's answer some questions from the listeners.
Mailbag.
I
You
like it.
You hijacked that.
No, that was wonderful. That was like Austin. Keep it weird.
Success.
Yeah.
If you have a question for the show, you can go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. Click on the Submit a Question button. You can also call us, leave us a message on our voicemail box, 302-464-TFFB, and we will listen and we'll play some of those on the show. I will stress, please keep your voicemail messages to really under about 45 seconds.
Yeah, we've had some good ones.
We've
that we
had
just-
good ones that are like 2 minutes long. I can't play those.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's a shame. But we
Including-
enjoy them. Thank you.
including a slow clap on our Travis
Oh, that was
Kelce
great.
defense that I'll give a shout out to, even though I can't play it on the show. But he was very happy with us coming to the defense of Mr. Travis Kelce when we got called out.
Why does
called
Zeus,
out on him?
Zeus doesn't need defending.
It's true, but we did anyway. Adam from Michigan wants to know. He says he loves the show. He has a Jeremy Hill back tattoo.
Joe, man,
I want to see the picture.
we got to go back to front.
If it's a back tattoo and it has the hashtag double stuff on it, you are in the league. Keeper question. You can keep 2 of the following. Brandon Cooks in the 7th, Kelvin Benjamin in the 8th, Latavius Murray in the 16th, and he's already keeping Jeremy Hill and Jordy. So
You have to
pick
more?
two of those?
No, just 2 of those 3. Brandon Cooks in the 7th, Kelvin Benjamin in the 8th, and Latavius Murray in the 16th.
Well, that's easy.
Cooks Murray.
Cooks Murray. You hit it before I even agreed
'cause
with you.
It was easy.
All right, this one comes in from El Capitan from Hawaii.
Bonjour.
They do speak French.
That is
French and
the
Hawaiian.
second language.
The
in Hawaii.
question is, when will that joke ever not be funny?
Yeah, I agree. Welcome to today's edition of the Rapid Fire Round. Please select the following player you believe is best. Okay, ready? Anquan Bolden versus Marcus Colston.
Bolden.
Frank Gore versus Mark Ingram.
Gore.
Ben Roethlisberger versus Matt Ryan versus Tony Romo.
Matt Ryan.
Ooh. Was that the same name?
No, we both said
I
Ryan.
said Ryan. He said Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, there's your answers.
All right.
Oh, I like that.
That was the
game.
rapid fire round.
There
No,
you
I
go.
do too.
Did we get 3 for this? Yes.
Yep. I guess we do.
Dude, that's a news. We got it. That's
Yeah,
a
I like
segment that
I
we
like
got to work out.
Well, you answered them quick. You weren't like,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
El
All right.
Capitan
Here's a great one. David from Utah, North Utah. Don't
Oh.
be talking about South Utah.
Oh,
He's up
I've
north.
heard some things about South Utah. Some
They
things.
have bad cable service.
The skiing in South
Uh-huh.
Utah is just
Well, let me get to the real crux of this one. He says, I, like Andy, love Arian Foster. Where I am drafting, I draft Foster first, and DeAndre Hopkins is always his top wide receiver on the board when he gets to his second pick. He also loves Hopkins. Is it a hindrance to have both of those on your team?
Perfect question for today, and I've been thinking more and more about this exact matchup because I have those 2 on my teams, and I don't love it. I think that would be a tiebreaker for me in a lot of situations where Hopkins is on the board. There are other guys like that I like almost as much that are right there.
What is this? Is this hashtag subtraction by addition? Is that the
That-
roster?
that is-
the roster we're talking about right here?
Yep.
Yeah. So
Is that why you don't like it?
Be
Quarterback play.
Yeah, quarterback play. I just don't think the offense is going to support it, and I would rather spread my my love around there.
And
so
I hate to do not hate, but with, another Pat Mayo drop. Chef Hoyardee
That's not bad.
is what he calls that
It's
guy.
tough to nickname guys that'll soon be out of the league, though. Seth from Orlando, Florida. Well, did we answer the question? We just said we
Yeah.
don't like it, really.
Yeah, we don't like it.
Yeah,
I'm
high
fine
prolific
with those 2
offenses.
guys.
I know
They're both good, but
they're both going to be good at the end of the year on the stat sheet. I just don't. When they stink,
well, the problem is
I don't know. I'm okay with it.
How
I'm
many
going to
games
say I'm
are-
okay with it with those.
Yeah,
I have them in the playoffs. So
Yeah.
what am I going to do?
I don't like it.
All right, Seth from Florida. He runs a 2-quarterback league where all TDs are 7 points. In past years, some owners will draft back-to-back quarterbacks with the first 2 picks
makes sense.
since they accumulate so many points in the league. What are your thoughts on going with either 2 stud running backs or 1 stud running back and 1 stud wide receiver with the first 2 picks? Don't do it.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would say don't do it. It all of a sudden the quarterback position becomes very similar to the running back position.
Except for they score more.
Right, except for now they score more in your crazy league, which I hope you love. Yeah, don't do it. You need a quarterback there. I would not tell someone to bypass the running back position. You can't do a 0 QB theory type of thing where you're going to draft 5 QBs at the end.
How many teams?
I already moved on from that email,
Okay.
so I don't have the. I don't have it in
Let's
front
assume
of me.
12.
If it was 10, then maybe I think I could get away with it. At 12, I'm still going to try and get a high volume touchdown guy in the first.
All right, a reminder to everybody, if you're getting ready for the NFL season, you're getting ready for your daily fantasy sports season, which you should be, make sure you hop onto FanDuel.com, put in the promo code BALLERS. You get a match up to $200 on your initial deposit. You'll be all ready to go for the football season, and you'll be helping the show out. So go to FanDuel.com, put in the promo code BALLERS.
I'm fine.
Are you okay? I'm looking at
No, I'm
Jason,
good.
and he looked like
I'm good.
I don't know.
I had some eye problem there.
Yeah, you did. Anything else going on before we got a good show for you Thursday? We got an interview with Number Fire's Joe Wan coming up. We're going to talk some Arian Foster, dig into the numbers, okay? The fantasy football scientist will be here talking to us about some of the metrics that tell me Arian Foster's looking really good.
Yep.
And so we'll talk about that. We'll go through some news and notes. And
Go to @TheLeagueFXX and say we want the footballers on the league.
yeah,
I'm really trying to make this happen.
Let's get it done. All right, thanks everybody.
You cut that off way too soon.
Well, I was letting you go.
Oh, goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another edition of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast.